Hey everybody, young Grasshopper here. Welcome to the Cliffside Bunker in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And this is my 3G40 solo game. I'm doing a nation by nation run through. And in this episode we're doing Russia. We're in game round number 1, Russia. And we've got some decisions to make, but we're not at war with the European Axis powers or Japan at this moment. So exact same as out of box for Russia. Let's go to our stage card. Research and development, we're not playing that this game. Or in the tournament for that matter, we won't be doing research and development. Too early for repair damaged units. And purchase new units, I've got some stuff here I'll talk about. Make declarations of war, so we are going to at this moment now declare war on Japan verbally. We may not attack Japan in a combat movement. We may not have any combat movements, we'll see, but I'm verbally declaring war on Japan. So let's go to the comments of the last video. We did China turn 1. Let's get some focus here. So we'll start at the bottom. Heavenly Riley, loving this series, can't wait for the next turn. Have to admit, liking the different tactics and especially you explaining concerns and everything. Good show, glad to watch. Thank you for posting these. Well, thanks Heavenly Riley, really appreciate the comments. Peter Mangro, I like the big mayo stack in China. I'm not sure what a mayo stack is, but I'll show you what he may be referring to. Fernando Cruz, no comments on this one other than to congratulate you on fine video series. I appreciate the work you're putting into this. Also, I'm really looking forward to meeting up with you guys at the tournament next year. Awesome. So Fernando is registered already and his spot is saved for the tournament in Toronto 2022 August. Shadowstorm, excited to see the second round unfold, especially in the Mediterranean. UK, Europe, and Italy seems like they will be going at it. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens there too, especially with those German planes and the vulnerable UK fleet. Robert Steiner. Okay, here are my predictions for Russia. Okay, so we're doing Russia this video, so he's going to predict buys 6 tanks, save a buck, move 2 mobile forces to Volgograd, to Sakang, and your 2 AA guns from Russia to Samara. Towards China, I guess you will build 2 stacks, one in Western Ukraine and Belarus, or what's the Belarusia? The 16 infantry plus 2 guns moves to, well, I'm going to go through all this, talking about simple moves with the subs and stuff, but I think he's half right. Remember, I'm trying to do new things, and in my past videos I've shown what I typically do, but you can already see that my purchases are different. But Stirring Potential says, will you make a video about Russia's strategy if Germany goes sea lion? That would be interesting, and I don't think I've seen a video about that. I mean, I do have a Russian turn 1 video on my channel, which I go into all kinds of different things, but I'm talking simply about out of box. This is a variant. Now, a lot hasn't changed here for a lot of nations. We talked about all the changes to this variant, but I mean, it looks like there's a strong concentration by Germany and Italy to focus on this fleet and possibly London, so it could happen this game, and we'll see. But you know, if you're interested in strategies about Russia if Germany goes sea lion, I mean, just try and absorb all the videos about Russia that I put up on my channel and others put up on their channel and try and come up with good strategies. I can talk a little bit about it here just because it simply looks like the European Axis powers are leaving Russia out for now. We've got a bit of a situation up here we have to deal with as well. Now the order of play has allowed this to happen because Japan goes first before Russia in this scenario. But let's go back to our card and our purchases. So lots of different people have different ideas about purchases, and I always like this. This is really my idea, the tactical bomber. I've got a fighter paired with a bomber in the setup already, but I've got a second fighter that's not paired, plus we have lots of tanks, so there's always good chances that this is going to be able to fight at 4. So not saying I'm gonna build lots of them, but I definitely want one. In the past I've showed you in other videos that I do like buying a lot of tanks, especially if it looks like Germany's leaving us alone, but I'm trying to take advice and input from other players. The artillery is more of a Contango idea, and the mechanized infantry is more of a Gargantua idea. But I had $2 left over, so I just turned one of these mechs into a tank, and then of course my personal favorite purchase, the tactical bomber there. Again, it's first round. We've got lots of money. We spent all 37. So let's get into combat movements. I'm not sure if I have any. I'm going to look at the board. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so let's take a look at this Soviet Far East here, because there's a lot of options. Now we could come into here, take Korea, and then move our stacks all the way in here, and that would be a huge burden for Japan, simply because of their positioning. They do have 3 transports here. They've got this stack of 6 with a fighter. They've got these 4 plus 2 bombers. Can these make it? 1, 2, 3, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, no. So it's interesting for sure, because we can get 7 aircraft into this battle, plus this stack and these here, so it's not all doom and gloom. I don't like this simply because it negates the Mongolian rule, and we're not quite ready to put up a force here. Remember, this is an entry point that we need to negate the China token, and the Mongolian rule getting triggered also does not do Japan any favors when it comes to getting that China token. Now that's only if the China token for the Axis is on their radar early. Now I've seen many plays for the China token going later, like round 7 in the last round, round 8. But I really want to keep this a strong entry point to come into Manchuria, allow Japan to spread out, trying to get that China token early. If that is their plan, we'll still have to wait and see. By coming here, we negate this, which allows Japan to hit this. Now they would lose a lot of units, but we would lose our positioning to have this entry point. And again, like I explained, this is an entry point for UK Pacific to come in and negate that Axis China token. So up here, all kinds of options. Like I said, I'm not going to do any attacks. Contango suggested it, kind of left it up to me, but I'm not going to do that. I still think there is a play for this. Now let's put it back to where it was. I mean, I don't want to push everything back. I want to force them, and if they hit this, and they probably could and would, it's going to trigger the Mongolian rule. I'm going to push these back. I'm going to try and wrap these around to this entry point. And if the Mongolian rule is triggered, I'm going to get 6, and plus these 6 moving across, and then even these could now make a play going through Mongolia. So that's how I'm going to play it. And like I said, there's all kinds of different ways you could do that. Sometimes maybe if you got an aggressive Japan doing something unique, 6 of these may not be here because they're stuck in a moor, but that would trigger the Mongolian rule, allowing 6 to pop up there. So I'm going to leave these units here just simply to maybe bait, and if they do take the bait and hit that, they're going to lose units, plus these 6 are going to pop up, so I'm happy with that. these are on their horse trying to get around there. I always like at least something trying to head back. It looks like it'll be a while before Germany gets going on the Eastern Front. Perhaps those 6 units get back to Moscow, if that's the course Germany takes. But you know, this might get hit up here in Amur, and I would be okay with that. I mean, obviously, as long as I take down some Japanese land units. But I'm okay with the consequences that they would have to deal with popping that up. It's almost a sure negate of that China token. So I'm not going to hit Korea, therefore there's no combat movements. No combat movements. Now, I did declare war on Japan. I'm going to verbally declare war on them turn 1, although there was no attacks. There's really no reason not to, like I've mentioned in other videos. So we're going to go into stage 2, and we are now going to get into our non-combat movements. There's none of this going on, no resolve combat. Going straight into non-combat movements now, and we're going to have lots of them. We'll see if Robert was right on any of these. I'm just going to go and do what I normally do. Not going to try anything different. I already kind of did try things different when it came to my purchases. So now I declared war on Japan. I don't have to do this. I could still declare war on Japan, but that is definitely an act of war. So we need to declare war on Japan if we're going to come in and do that. I'm okay with my fast movers, my tank, and my mech. One, we'll put them here, just simply because their range is better than here, right? Might even be the same. Well, let's look. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's almost better here because this is the one that they can't get to if they're here, but they can reach from here, and from here they can reach everything. So this is the one they can't reach from up here, and this is the one they can't reach from down here. So I kind of like the idea of them being closer to the road, so we'll just do that for now. I always like pushing AA guns towards China, at least 2 of them. There's so many aircraft for Japan. Those are really useful to help. Even if all these end up going back, I mean, we're trying to put pressure on the defense of the China token. We don't want the China token to fall early. And we're just helping them out for now. And these may go back. They may go back this way, but these 2 AA guns, I would venture to say, will always travel with the stack of Chinamen, if any are left. You know, we'll see just how deep Japan can get into China. But let's carry on. Now, these are an interesting choice. Do we reinforce more or start heading to the front? They're so far away from Moscow and these 2 territories. I'm going to say go ahead and move them into there because they've got good choice, again, to either go back to Stalingrad or go into China and help there. So that's enough help. And again, it's not always going to stay here. It may go back, but that's enough help. If it all dies in China, then that's okay, because I'm sure it's needed. And of course, these 6 are going to wrap around here or keep going to Moscow. So I think Robert's right when he talks about stacking. I always like to stack these 2. And it's this Pripyat marshes is so dynamic in the defense of the front, because you're kind of trapping the advance either north or south, and you want good, I'll just do this. You want good defense, and the reason why I push all this down here is because of what they can reach. along that front, especially if, now there's no threat really of Germany coming in round 2, but you know, just to get used to the first round movements. Now the aircraft are interesting because they're so mobile and it is so early. They could come here, and I know that it seems like I'm taking a lot to China, but to tell you the truth, while Germany and Italy are messing around in the Channel and the Mediterranean, we can afford to put some pressure on Japan. So we can move 5. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do that, just simply because if the Mongolian rule is triggered, we're going to have some aircraft to help these infantry, because these infantry would be in a pretty good position to attack something. I'm just wondering if there's a better place for them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the fighter and the tactical are strong together because tactical pairs with the fighter and gets a 4. And the good news about this is that they are in range to hit something here with these if Japan doesn't deal with it. So we'll leave those there. I mean, it is my intention to get a lot of this stuff back to Russia, and it might be too late, but I love putting pressure in China against Japan, especially when there's no real threat of the European Axis powers bringing the Russians into the war right away. So we've got defensive stacks. We'll move these upward like this. Actually, the reason why I would move them down there, so you see how we just get better at understanding the map. Coming here, I can't get here, but coming down here, I can get both here and here. So we understand the map, and we make our movements, whether they're combat movements or non-combat movements, and working with the map so that we can better give those units better options. So we don't want an amphibious assault on our Leningrad, and we can come here and just be a nuisance. I mean, there's no destroyer, so we can kind of get away with that kind of stuff. And why not, right? This one here, 1, 2, 3 right in there. We're not going to make an attack. Now we could have in our combat movement said our sub goes in there to attack that sub, but you know, 100% of the time that sub submerges. They don't want to be up against, you know, there's no point in scrambling because there's no destroyer, so the aircraft don't matter. So the Germans don't want to get into a fight where they're rolling a 1 at 1 and the sub's rolling a 1 at 2. So 100% they always just submerge. You could have done it in the combat movement, but it's same. It's fine in the non-combat too, because we know the end result anyway. So this is going to help block any ideas of an amphibious assault. They will have to deal with that if they do want to land in Leningrad. But just being a nuisance. I'm not putting it here in this convoy zone because we're not at war. We can't convoy anyway. And I kind of like this convoy zone anyway a little bit better because, you know, even though it's less convoy, what is it, 2 instead of 3, the Germans aren't going to bother it in 105, but if it's in 125, you know that they're going to want to get rid of it somehow. Kind of forces their hand into buying a destroyer and whatnot, but we'll see how it works out. There's fine for now. So all these push back, And I'm fine with that fighter being there. May even build the tactical bomber in the same spot as well. So that looks to be about it. Let's split up the AA guns. We're gonna leave one back. Always a theme with me, just splitting up the AA guns. Let's go 1, 2, 3 and put a green ship down. So what's the deal with Russia in this 3G40 tournament edition rule set? Well, their job is to prevent Axis tokens, prevent them from getting the 7 cities in Europe, prevent them from taking Moscow, just like London is going to fight to keep London, or hopefully. It's Russia's job not to lose Moscow. Things get a little bit interesting towards the end because perhaps they take Stalingrad, and now if they take Moscow, it is pretty much the only situation I think in this variant where 2 tokens could kind of fall at the same time. I mean, you could do it with the London amphibious assault, you can do it with the attack on Moscow, but sometimes when the Axis take London or they take Moscow at the same time, it could very well be the 7th city in Europe that would give them 2 tokens from one battle. The 7 cities, it's called the Europe token, and the Moscow or London token. That could happen. Now, Russia does have something they could do if they're completely ignored, and it's called the occupation token. So the Allied occupation token requires the Allies to control all pro-Axis neutrals plus Warsaw. So Finland, Warsaw, which is in Poland, and then Bulgaria and Iraq. So 1, 2, and 3 plus Warsaw. If the Allies control all of those, they'll get a token, and that's going to require Russia doing the heavy lifting because you need Warsaw, Finland, and Bulgaria. So very difficult to get to Bulgaria from a sea landing. The diplomacy token, which requires the Allies having control of all pro-Allied territories, is more possible just simply because of the ability to have an amphibious assault, whereas the pro-Axis tokens, now this one is, I would say, very easy just because of the presence of the UK Pacific in the Middle East. But here, and here. Now, that token is in the game just simply because, one, it gives Russia something to do to help them win instead of just preventing and only preventing tokens. But they have a token that would require them to do most of the work. And it's there so that the European Axis powers don't get away with just leaving that whole front, leaving Russia completely alone for pretty much the whole game, maybe building in Berlin and Hungary and Romania only. So they need to be aware of that. It's not just Berlin they're trying to protect, which is also an Allied token, but it's this occupation token with the 3 pro-Axis territories in Warsaw. So those are my non-combat movements. Not much to show or talk about, really. I'm getting in position to help China against an aggressive Japan that may not have anything to do except attack China and the Russian Soviet Far East. So just getting ourselves into some sort of just posture to wait and see, but also building and anticipating And we'll see what Germany purchases. Of course, if they purchase 10 transports, then we can't really stay along this coast. Even if they go and do sea line, it's so easy for them to get back here and just slam here, slam something here. So hard for big Russian stacks to be along this coast if Germany buys a lot of transports. And that's, you know, in one of the comments, somebody asked about strategy, what to do with Russia if Germany is doing sea line. Well, to me, it's not building up along this coast, making a beeline for Berlin along here, Baltic states and Poland. Basically, what you got to do is stay away from that amphibious assault and stay down here, take the Balkans back perhaps and be a nuisance, and you know, all the while defending the north, which a big landing could come anywhere, here, Leningrad, even around in Archangel. So yeah, so consider a large transport build by Germany, not just a sea lion threat, but any territory along that coast for sure. So let's take a look at our stage card again. Non-combat movements, I would say, are done. We're going to place our new units. Now when we place our new units, we can still make a non-combat move because we're still in stage 2. So let's just go ahead and place these. I know that this, and let's say these two, so 2 artillery and a tactical bomber, all in Leningrad. That's our 3 purchase maximum on that miner. Let's swap this out. Now, I'm okay with the 2 mechs. Well, let's make it 1 mech, 1 tank, and 1 artillery in that factory. 1 mech, 1 tank, 1 artillery. It gives us lots of different options. And we have 1 mechanized infantry left. Let's just put that in Russia. We won't get fancy. So we're set up well to help China. And I would venture, like, we're just trying to be a thorn in the side to Japan. And once we do things like this, even if the intention is just to move it back once the coast is clear, once this entry point gets solidified, once this gets resolved up here, then those fast movers can go back and help in round 4, round 5, and whatever's going on the Eastern Front. But for now, they're really making Japan think. Maybe they're thinking, wow, 2 aircraft, those are entering in there on that side, and those are building up there. They're thinking that the China token is extremely difficult, and it should be. It's very easy to defend the China token. If Japan takes the China token round 3, or that's early 4, then the Allies didn't really help themselves. I mean, there's a lot of ways to prevent this China token, and again, it's when the Axis powers control all originally controlled Chinese territories. And you can see that eventually this is going to open up. Something's going to happen here. These are going to swing around. These are helping on this front. And these are backing up. We're not being foolish. We're not being too aggressive with our defensive units. And it's all because we don't want to give up a token here. Not in China. Not something that is preventable. And we'll let it unfold. And if Japan gets all the way and conquers these territories and leaves these 3, or even we have a stack of Chinese plus the A guns plus some Russians right here or here, that's fine as long as we don't lose the token, right? So that's what this is all about over here. We're helping China because the UK Pacific is not allowed to declare war until the beginning of their 3rd turn. They cannot move into China and help out and make that act of war until the beginning of their 3rd turn. So it's up to Russia to help China because China's alone right now. and it's quite easy that Japan backs them all the way up to the back there. If there's no China help, if there's no help from Russia at all, then I've seen it. China can fall very easily to Japan. But you can see how it's the Allies' fault if they don't defend that token. I've seen that token go down in our playtest games a couple of times. There was no help from Russia. And I'm not saying that this many resources that probably belong on the Eastern Front, and especially with a fast-moving German turn 1 or turn 2 advance on Russia, that it would be wise to keep these down here. But it's really a no choice, because you don't want to lose the Moscow token, the 7 city token that could go down from the same direction that the European axis are moving, plus give up the China token. I would say all of that weight falls on Moscow, at least at the beginning of the game. You'll see in the next couple of rounds, if they're not needed, they're going to go back. But if there's something better that they can do here to hurt Japan, that's more valuable than going back. But remember, we don't want to focus too much on that occupation token of taking the 3 pro-axis in Warsaw, just simply because it's very difficult. Now, if things go horribly wrong for the European Axis powers, if they have a really bad first turn, they lose a lot of aircraft, and especially if they make a play on London and they get bounced from Sea Lion, then I would say that this occupation token is very much in play, and Russia should get on their horse and get going and take Warsaw. I'm not saying that they can take Berlin, not saying that. But if they take Warsaw, Finland, Bulgaria, and UK Pacific takes Iraq there, that's a good token to get. And I would say Russia has done their job if they prevent the China token or help. Russia has done their job if they don't lose their capital or don't give up the 7 cities, because both of them are on them. I'm not saying that it's their job to prevent both of those tokens, but definitely try and prevent one of them, Moscow falling, or the 7 cities like Stalingrad, Leningrad. They can't do much about Cairo and Paris and things like that. But just always in the back of your mind, keep aware of the opportunity to advance and get the occupation token, especially if things are going horribly wrong over here for the European Axis powers. So that is Russia turn 1. Let's go ahead and look at our stage cards. So we've placed our units, and I don't see anything. Sometimes people forget to move their ships, so check that. And so once we flip this, we cannot go and do any more non-combat movements. So we don't have any convoy raids to resolve. We're just going to go ahead and collect our money, and it's the same 37 IPCs. Remember, we didn't go into Korea, so another 37. We'll just go ahead and put that right up here. We don't have any national objectives to flip because we're not at war. And that is Russia turn 1, guys. So next up, all the way down here, I know that it's strange seeing them at the bottom of the order of play, but America is next. We're in round 1, America. They're neutral. They've not been brought into the war, and they cannot declare war, so it should be a very similar turn. We're going to look at our non-combat movements and everything and see how we can position ourselves, especially with what's going on over here. Very interesting dynamic situation, and it's only round 1. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for the comments, thanks for the likes, thanks for the shares, really appreciate it. So may all your rolls be ones. Take care. See you in the next vid.